Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here at Morphy's today with some boxes. But these are cool boxes. You know, sometimes the accessories to a firearm can be just as cool as the firearm itself, and they can often have a really substantial element in how the gun was used and in its history. And so what we have today are three different styles of Thompson submachine gun case. We've got the police version, the official FBI version, and the really cool one that you never ever see, the Secret Service version. So the FBI, of course, had quite a lot of Thompsons. Various police agencies around the country also had quite a lot of Thompsons. But the Secret Service also used the Thompson submachine gun in its presidential protection detail, among other duties. And so, of course, they would have cases for them. And the Secret Service decided that it didn't really like the makeup of the cases that were commercially available. So when the Thompson was first introduced, the original cases that were sold for them, that were actually listed in the Thompson catalog, were canvas. They were made by the Mills Equipment Company, same company that made a whole bunch of US World War I web gear. You may have heard of a Mills belt, same company. And they made this heavy-duty canvas case that was advertised in the catalog. Interestingly, it seems that the hard cases weren't ever advertised in the catalog, and they didn't cost much more than the canvas cases. The canvas was like $13.50. These guys were on the order of $16.50, and you'd think this would be a lot nicer than just a canvas case. Anyway, let's take a look at how these were put together, because these two in particular, the official Thompson offered police and FBI cases, are pretty swanky. The thing people always think about with Thompson cases is, of course, a Thompson in a violin case. What's really kind of funny is the original design for these hard cases actually came from a saxophone case. So as originally put together, this is a design of a modified saxophone case, not that far off from a violin. All right, the police case. First off, we have metal corner reinforcements. We have a nice heavy-duty handle, metal brackets riveted into the lid of the case. A Thompson's a heavy gun, and you don't want the handle to fall off. You don't want the hasps to come off. So these are pretty sturdily constructed cases. There are two basic hasps at the front and a lock. We have latches on the ends, and then the hinges are on the back of the case. So this thing sits upright like this, and you open it from this position. There we go. And voila. This is a really good example of an intact police case. They're lined with a purple velvet, like I said, very fancy, and they will hold the gun with the buttstock separated. The buttstock itself is here, and then there's a slot for a 50-round drum and 4 of the 20-round magazines, box magazines. Up here, originally, you would have had a cleaning rod there, and a little spare parts case over here, which this particular case doesn't have in it. But this layout works pretty well because you've got 80 rounds here and you've got 50 there, and the bulk of the gun is balanced towards that side. So this actually carries pretty well. And the handle in the middle, this is going to balance fairly well. And so this was the standard hard-sided police case that was offered by Thompson. Now, the FBI did things a little bit differently. The FBI case looks pretty much the same from the outside, but there are a few little differences. We have leather corner reinforcements here. Again, a pretty darn sturdy handle, wrapped leather and solid metal clasps there. And then the hinges are still on the back, but there are no latches on the sides of the FBI case. Now, when we open this guy up, same basic system, but the FBI cases are a blue velvet inside. Again, ooh la la, swanky. Again, we have spare parts kit, cleaning rod up here. And then the FBI case is actually not nearly as well thought out because all of the magazines are on this side. And when you load these all up, the case is actually going to be really it's going to balance way towards this side. The police one's nice and even. The FBI one's not quite so much. Now, I do want to show you one little bit of detail in here. So that's what the thing looks like when it's all emptied out. Both of these, the police and the FBI cases, will fit either horizontal or vertical front grip models of the gun. And if you look over here, just a nice little attention to detail. There's a little leather pad that's going to sit where the rear sight is in contact with the case so that the velvet doesn't wear quite as much. You can also see a little bit more of the true original color here where it hasn't faded, where it was sitting behind the drum for many, many, many years. So the FBI may not have gotten the layout quite as intelligently as the police case, but these are still pretty cool. I think the real treasure here, though, is the Secret Service case. Now, unlike the previous two, these weren't items that were offered for sale by Thompson. These were something that the Secret Service themselves went out and had fabricated. And they wanted to be able to lay the guns flat. The police and FBI cases, you can't really stack because the handle's on top. They don't really stack. These would. So they'd lie flat like this. The lid's just going to open like a normal sort of case. Instead of a movable handle, they have a solid brass handle on top, two basic latches. You can see there used to be a locking clasp here that was removed at some point. But we open that up and there's your Thompson. Again, this can fit either a horizontal or vertical front grip gun. Lift that out and you'll see that the Secret Service guys didn't bother with a drum. They carried 4 of the box magazines and the buttstock for the gun. Pull that out. And there you go. That's what the thing looks like empty. Got little bits of padding here for the magazines, none for the buttstock, but padding again for the gun, nicely fitted. This is heavy duty wood construction. It's a nice durable case. You can see it's banged and nicked up. It's been used quite a lot and has survived remarkably well. There you go. That's how the Secret Service would have carried their personal protection detail Thompsons. It's a robust case. You can close that up. It's not going to attract a lot of attention. It just looks like a typical generic piece of luggage. I'd ask that you hopefully enjoyed the video, except obviously the boxes here weren't too super boring because you're still around at the very end. This Secret Service one in particular was just a really cool thing to get a chance to take a look at. The Secret Service is not a big fan of its stuff being in the public eye at all, really, under any circumstances. They want to maintain that whole secret part of the Secret Service, and finding some of the equipment that they actually used for presidential protection detail is really cool. So big thanks to Morpheus for giving me the opportunity to take a look at this, and of course the other very cool and more commonly available types of Thompson case. Thanks for watching.